Hello and welcome back to the Cricket Nerds. We've got a special guest today. Welcome Asjad from Cricket for Us 2.0. His link will be in the description down below, so don't forget to check him out. Today we're going to be doing the big World Cup preview, and this is the video you've all been waiting for. This is why it's got 20,000 views, because this is the comprehensive introduction to the T20 World Cup in Australia. Now, boys, I'm very interested to know, because it's actually been a thrilling start to the World Cup. It's flown under the radar completely because the ICC decided to put all the warm-up matches in at the same time in their infinite wisdom. However, there have been some really good qualifying stages that have gone on. We've had some stellar performances from underdogs. So who in particular has impressed you? And I'm going to go to Asjad first. Who's impressed you in the qualifying stages?
That's a good question, because, I'm just trying to think of all the qualifying teams or the first round teams. And you think of players like David Visa if you think of Namibia. And maybe you think of, I don't know, Jared Erasmus. But for me personally, I thought as collective teams, Namibia was pretty strong, but they kicked out. They're not there anymore. So if I actually had to, I'm going completely left field. If I had to actually pick a player, it'll be Max O'Dowd. I thought Max O'Dowd from Scotland batted really well in the games that he's played. He's someone very exciting. And I'm quite happy with potentially, maybe tomorrow Scotland qualifies, comes into group 2. And maybe they beat Pakistan because Max O'Dowd scores 100, right?
Well, but Max O'Dowd's actually Netherlands, isn't he?
You know what?
Netherlands
you are such a smart man, James. I just wanted to connect with you, right?
Yeah, it's happened, smart James.
I got to re-record. No. But genuinely, I've been making mistakes all throughout the day, so I apologize. Max O'Dowd from Netherlands, again, still the same group, right? Same group. He scored 70 odd this morning, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. So, very exciting batsman. I'm very impressed with the way he plays. And if I look at Zimbabwe, personally, I think Sikandar Raza, someone who's had fantastic record over the past year and a half, be it with the ball, be it with the bat, even in the field. He's probably their best player, even though certain people might say it's Luke Jongwe, it's Blessing Muzrabani, but the whole package that Sikandar Raza kind of offers. So for me, I'm picking two players just because, two groups. I think one group, it's Max O'Dowd, and the other one, it's Sikandar Raza for me.
Yeah, it's interesting because we've not seen a lot from Zimbabwe for the last few years. They've sort of flown on the radar for a bit. They've not played tests in years. But then you think of great cricketers like Andy Flower has come out of Zimbabwe. Like what a player to come out of there and to go on to have such a great career. And also, as we know, England just steal all the best players from all the other countries. So the Curran brothers both come from Zimbabwe as well, don't they? So it's insane how much of a good cricket creating country Zimbabwe is. Personally, if we're looking at people that have impressed in the group stages, I mean, there's not really for me much more to go than Sri Lanka. Aside from their first game upset versus Namibia, which nobody saw coming, especially me, the team that had just come off an Asia Cup win, who've got some real star for the future type players. We talk about the likes of Thashanka, we talk about Dusmantra Chamira, you've got
You're choosing all the easiest names to say here, aren't you?
I'm picking all the good names,
right? You could just name everyone. Just do the last name.
They've got such a good team of players as well, and to see that game, I mean, they've somewhat settled and have beat the UAE and the Netherlands quite comfortably and cemented their place with the Netherlands in what it's in Group A, isn't it? They've qualified as first, so they're going to be in Group A with Afghanistan, England, Australia, New Zealand, and we'll find out tomorrow. But yeah, Sri Lanka have come through. They've actually managed to cement that place, and it's interesting because I think there's going to be questions that come out at the end of this World Cup saying actually, why don't we just move to a 16-team format? Why do we have to have these qualifying rounds and then the Super 12s? We've got teams that can beat anyone on their day. The UAE have got a win. Namibia have played fantastically. As you've just said, they've got these franchise players. Why can't we just go to a 16-team game? It's for the ICC. We'll go on. What do you two boys think about, the group stages initially?
I've got two players who stood out for me. The first one being Kartik Mayapan from the UAE, who got the hat trick right in the game against Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka's middle order has struggled this qualifying, but then, and he's also played in the IPL before, as Mayapan. He's played for Royal Challengers Bangalore, and there was another team as well. I can't remember it. And then the other player who, talking of England steals, is Curtis Camphor, who England are good at stealing the Irish players and they're good at stealing the South African players. And Curtis Camphor is a South African-born Irish player. So he completely fits the bill as someone who England will be looking to pick up in the near future. But yeah, his innings the other day kept Ireland in the tournament because if it wasn't for him, they would have been out of it. And that sort of fighting in the losing cause is what England was interested in Owen Morgan at the start of his career. So yeah, he's definitely one England will be looking at. Whether he moves or not, I'm not sure. But yeah, Curtis Camphor's definitely impressed for me. Yeah,
I'm going to say Mark Watt. I think he is one of my favourite players at the moment because he's the only person I can think of that came up with a completely different variation that I don't think anybody else uses, which is since they changed it from being the back foot no ball to the front foot no ball, Mark Watt has decided, right, okay, I'm going to bowl from just like a meter further back from the popping crease, and the ball takes longer to get to the batsman and it outfoxes them. And yeah, he's got his little cheat sheet, which I don't know if you saw after they won the other day. He said like, oh, what was on it? And he put it on his Instagram and it just said like, was it don't bowl wide or something, or just bowl straight. So yeah,
I wish that's what I feel every time I play cricket. Just bowl straight, you know.
Oh, you know what it was? It was don't bowl slot. That was the one. Don't bowl slot. So yeah, he's
a good piece of advice to give yourself, especially in a T20 game. I just want to interrupt. Sorry there, James. I gotta agree with Zach. I think it was a couple of nights ago where Alzari Joseph had a pretty stellar day. He took like 3 or 4 wickets, and on the same day, Curtis Camphor scored that 70 or 60 odd and took a couple of wickets. So 100% agree. He's impressed like crazy. I'm not changing my answer. I'm just trying to say that, Zach is also right.
Smart Zach as well.
Right. So now that we've talked about the qualifying stages, once they've qualified, are any of these guys actually going to win? We would love it to happen. Probably a little unlikely. But who do we think is going to actually win? And this is the big calls now. Who's winning the World Cup? Because and feel free to talk about any teams you like the look of. But I'm going to kick things off, and I'm going to say one honourable mention that I think will do better than anybody thinks, and then my actual prediction, which is, spoiler alert, incredibly biased. So my outside bet is going to be South Africa. I think South Africa are actually going to do far better than anybody thinks. They've been in horrendous form, but in T20, form means very little a lot of the time. They like pace on the ball. They like hard, bouncy pitches because that's most similar to home. And they've got some very quality players. And they've got some very fast bowlers. And it's the bowling in particular that I think is going to lend itself to those Australian pitches. And for that reason, I think South Africa will actually do better than predicted for most people. However, the team I think is going to win is actually going to be England. But that does have the caveat of the bowling might not be quite there for the whole tournament, especially after like Reece Topley getting injured, Timon Mills coming in. He's good. And if he starts the tournament the same way that he did last year, it could be brilliant. But that's my outside bet and my biased answer. But I'd love to hear from you guys.
I was just going to say with that, like, it's just, I really, with all my heart, want to say England. And like, they've done the same thing as last year where they've come in as like in great form, beat the Aussies at home, beat Pakistan at home in a absolute thriller of a series, by the way. Like, that was insane what's gone there. But like, England just do not have the ability to not break their fast bowlers. Like, it is just, it's impossible. Like, Reece Topley has now gone down injured already. It's going to be 4 games in where Mark Wood's knee goes snap again. Like, it's just like, if something like that happens, it's end of tournament. Like, there is depth, but like, to come in, you've got Richard Gleeson, Tamar Mills. These aren't the type of players who are going on to win a tournament. And I'd love to be proved wrong, and a Liam Dawson or a Richard Gleeson or a Tamar Mills come in and have an absolute blinder. In terms of like an actual prediction, I'm finding it so hard right now, because coming into the tournament, I would have definitely gone with India as they just look like they're in imperious form, but they've shown a little chink in their armor with losing Jasprit Bumrah, who I think was one of their keys to victory. And having Bumrah out now, I think it just opens the door to everyone else, and it could be a great World Cup. I mean, Pakistan now have a bit between their mouths after the series against England. They've got Shaheen Shah Afridi back. Again, going to be such a key piece to that. So yeah, I'm going to sit on the fence and say I'm looking forward to seeing it. Asjad, I'm really looking forward to what you say about this.
You know what? You stole my answer, so I'm going to change my answer now. So basically, I'll be honest, the 2 top teams I do think right now are Australia and England. But we saw what England was able to do to Australia in Australia. So that kind of puts pressure on that point. But the fact that you mentioned about the potential lack of fast bowlers from an England perspective, especially because if Tamal Mills is in, I can't think of any other bowler that's in the lineup that bowls 90 plus, right? 90 miles an hour plus anymore, right? Mark Wood, yes, but I don't see him playing every single game. Hopefully he does and he's able to, but he is quite injury prone. So if I were to pick favorites, it would be one of England or Australia. But dark horses, telling you, Sri Lanka, right? Don't count Sri Lanka out, okay? Even though I didn't mention them being impressed by them at all in my initial starting off point. But what Sri Lanka has gotten back is certain players like Rajita. They've got Chamera. Well, actually, is Chamera injured again, isn't he?
Yes,
Probably.
he is.
Yeah,
right?
as of like, well, there you go.
Yeah, today or yesterday. But Wanindu Hasaranga, he's done a brilliant job, be it with the ball specifically in T20s, but also so far in the qualifying rounds. If you look at their top order right now, it hasn't fired as consistently as you'd expect, especially Nisanka, Mendes, the names that Benji said that, I can't remember. But genuinely, they are a very, very solid side. So I think as a dark horse, I would go Sri Lanka. But if I were to be realistic, I wouldn't go Pakistan and I wouldn't even go India at this rate, okay? Loss of Bumrah, loss of potentially Ravi Jadeja, possibly one of the best all-rounders in the world, right? And on top of that, yes, you have a very, very stacked top 6, right? In terms of batting, India's batting is almost comparable to England in terms of the quality of batting. But their death bowling, even though Arshdeep Singh, great option, but he's also gone for runs at the death. Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, great option, still gone for loads of runs at the death. Same thing, I'm going to come up back with Mohammad Shami. He has played 1 game for India, right? Or 1 game for India in the past year in T20 cricket. Yes, it was 1 over for 3 wickets. That's beside the point. All right. But he is just coming into the side because there was no Bumrah. So I find it very difficult to kind of place my bets on someone like India at the moment. So I'd never pick England, right? In my own review or preview, sorry, I said so many good things about England and then I picked Pakistan. Right? I'm not gonna do this here because I'm gonna be very I'm a guest. I need to provide actual important content to you, not just make jokes, right? So I think England, in terms of the quality of cricket, I think England definitely need to be favorites because they are just playing a level of T20 cricket that teams probably will start playing in 2025 the way that they're going.
They have dominated 2020 cricket and one-day cricket for the last 5 years, arguably, maybe longer. And that's due to some of the talent they have with Joss Butler, Alex Hales, Mark Wood, all really good players who, and I guess everyone in that team, even Ben Stokes, who hasn't really impacted English 2020 before, is a match winner by himself. He's a tournament winner in his own right, isn't he? So they've got a lot of star quality. And that's why I would say that they are the favourites to win the 2020 World Cup, especially seeing how they basically annihilated Australia in the backyard. Australia have got Cameron Green coming into the side as an injury replacement for Josh Inglis. And Cameron Green has been doing great
Very
things
exciting.
in 2020 cricket lately. And you can never count out Australia in tournaments. And because of that, they're actually my dark horse for the title. But the team that I think is going to win, and this is kind of going with what Benji said and what Asjad said, is I think Pakistan's going to win, which is a big call to make because we know what Pakistan's like. Like, I can imagine being a Pakistan supporter is probably the hardest team to support because of how up and down they are as a team. But, and this is a big but, it's all on Babar Azam and Rizwan at the top of the order. Babar Azam loves batting in Australia. We've seen him play wonderfully in Australia in the past, and I think that would be a massive thing for them. And when you look at their bowling attack, they say batters win you matches, bowlers win you tournaments. And in my opinion, Pakistan have the best bowling lineup in the tournament, with Haris Rauf, who's got a lot of big bash experience. Mohammed has named the same. Shaheen Shah Afridi. Those three can win a tournament by themselves. So, and then, not to mention their death hitting with Asif Ali. It just looks a really solid lineup. So
I think it'll probably the difference for Pakistan will be whether they learn to field in time, because their fielding
that's a pain. That's pain.
It's been 75 years since Pakistan was a country. All right, we fielded well in like 3 tournaments out of however many, and that's not the entire tournament. It's like half of the tournament, and that's why we win those tournaments. All right, look at 92, you look at 2009, and you look at 2017. The only times Pakistan fielded well was like the last 4 games that they had to play, because they're like, yeah, we need to win those. Let's just field really well, and then we'll just win. So, but in terms of fielding, I do agree that Pakistan's fielding has not been great. However, a lot of teams, their fielding over the past year or so, not been the greatest. No. I don't know if you can recall India, Sri Lanka, even in the Asia Cup, you can think of New Zealand and, well, Bangladesh. I don't want to go down that route, but basically, if you look at New Zealand, who are genuinely a good fielding side, they didn't have a great time in this tri-series that happened last week. So fielding has been a big issue, but Pakistan, they definitely, when they field well, they usually perform well, which tells you fielding is quite important, which is something you were never told in Pakistan. They're like, you're a bowler and you're a batsman. No one cares about the fielder, right?
Yeah, it's interesting though, because when I watch Pakistan field, I'm like, some days they've got Jonty Rhodes as their fielding coach. Other days they've got Inzamam Ul-Haq as their fielding coach. So
Inzamam took catches, all right. It's more like me as their fielding coach. I was called Butterfingers, all right? There was a reason why.
The thing I find about Pakistan is that every time, like, if I watch the PSL, like, the fielding generally is okay. It's just when they come to a big tournament, it's there. The thing for me, and I know there's been a lot of talk about England and Pakistan as, like, you know, favourites or whatever. My issue with England is that they just do not like winning when it counts. They're the opposite to Australia. They just do not like winning when it counts. Like, you see, like last year in the semi-final against New Zealand, Chris Jordan comes in and bowls that absolute filthy over. 2015 final, Ben Stokes, Carlos Brathwaite just smashes 6s for fun. Like, it still hurts. And like 2019 World Cup for the 50 over, like that was by the barest of margins. Like, you know, they just do not like winning when it counts. Let's go on though, but we're going to talk about a player. And we've mentioned who's impressed so far in the qualifying stages. Who do we think? And let's just pick one person each for this. Who's going to come out as a breakthrough player with a new T20 career? And I'm going to kick off and steal the one who Zach has just mentioned, because Cameron Green has been lighting up the T20 world recently. That man is going to get a very big IPL contract in a couple of months' time. Like, if he lists himself there, it's going to be huge. I think Cameron Green, now that he's in the squad, it is going to impress. And it's interesting because, like, now, where's Aaron Finch going to bat? Is he going to drop down to 4 like he was in the warm-up tournaments? And in the series against England, like, will Green come in that opening spot, also opening the bowling? I think it's really interesting, and it's a really positive thing for Australia. And I reckon Josh Inglis has just pretended to hurt his hamstring so that Cameron Green can get into that team. But yeah, I'm really curious to what everyone else thinks.
I just want to say one thing on your point, Benji. Australia has definitely done a Pakistan, because Pakistan loves doing this, right? You fake an injury, go out, bring back Abdul Razak from like 2009, and then he does a brilliant job. So I totally understand where you're coming from. I don't want to pick the same person, so I'm going to change the person I was thinking. It's like you guys just read my mind, and they were like, "Okay, yeah, let's see what else I think."
I think we were all thinking Cameron Green. You saw Zach and James'
Yeah,
face.
gone.
We definitely were. We definitely were.
Hey, I'll pick the next guy that a lot of people might pick. It's a guy who's striking at 180 this year and got an average of like 45, called Surya Kumar Yadav, right? With the bat. I don't know if I can call him a breakthrough star or breakthrough performer, but this year has been so good for him that I think on the back of this tournament, he's going to be an even bigger known player around the world. He's already known, but the way that he plays, the way he innovates, the way that he's able to score where no one else thinks about scoring, it's like an AB de Villiers effect, but for India, right? That's the best way I could compare it. And for that reason, I think Surya Kumar Yadav for me has to be the guy.
I'm gonna go with someone who probably no one's thought of, just because I want to be a bit unique like that. And that is from New Zealand, Finn Allen. At the top of the order, he's not been doing that bad recently. And all it takes is a few big innings from him in the group stages, and New Zealand will be happy. Because they've got Martin Guptill in the squad, but they need to move away from him. And Finn Allen, it's his time to cement his spot in world cricket.
I'm also going for Kiwi, actually. But mine's going to be further down the order. I'm going for Michael Bracewell, who he's actually had like a brilliant year and he's flown right under the radar. But this man, after playing, I'm just going to read his general T20 stats first. He has a bowling economy in all T20s, which is 114 of them, of 6.6, an average of 14. And batting, he averages 31 at a strike rate of 134. Now, his T20I caps, which obviously will be of a far higher standard, he averages 30 with the bat still at a strike rate of 183. And then he averages 9.82 with the ball at a strike rate of 5.24. So this man is becoming just the genuine all-rounder you've never heard of and really don't rate. But I'm telling you, his off pies that I don't think they even turn, but they're just really difficult to get away. And I think Michael Bracewell could have a very good tournament. And who knows, maybe we'll see him in the IPL, PSL, and all the other franchise leagues making his millions.
He's basically Surya Kumar Yadav with the ball on a string.
Exactly. I'll tell you this. One point about Michael Bracewell. His stats are heavily reliant on this series, the tri-series that just happened, okay? Right? He bowled so well in that series. It was outstanding. I just knew of him as a part-time spinner. Changed my mind completely. So definitely great choices, though. Great choices.
Yeah, we saw Michael Bracewell get absolutely clobbered by Ben Stokes for 6 in the Test match series against England. He bowled 2 overs and then wasn't allowed in. And then I was like, who is this guy? But I then looked and like he's doing great in ODIs. He's doing great in just all white ball. He's doing fantastically. Yeah, I think that's a great shout. Okay, this is what we've all been waiting for. The red cap and the purple cap and the orange cap, which is only an IPL thing, but highest run scorers and highest wicket takers. Let's just quickly, 2 players. James, go.
Right, highest run scorer is going to be David Warner. And the highest wicket taker is going to be Kagiso Rabada. There we go.
That's a safe choice, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
I'm going to go another safe choice for highest wicket taker in Hasaranga de Silva.
Ooh, yeah.
And highest run scorer, come on, Joss Butler. Highest run scorer, come on.
Go on,
Asjad.
Oh, I'm not last. All right, that's good. So I can pick anyone I want. Highest wicket taker, I think Josh Hazelwood. Hazelwood's got a good shout. He's got that ability as well. And with the bat, this is the thing. I said Surya Kumar Yadav, right? I said Surya Kumar Yadav, but I'm going to say David Miller this time around. I think David Miller, because they're going to switch him up just a little bit, especially if Bavuma is hurt throughout the World Cup. So they might just do that. But I think David Miller definitely has a shout, especially considering their middle order isn't as fluent as they would like to be.
Yeah. I was literally going to go for David Miller. But instead of that, I think he's a player that's in a current insanely good run of form. and we love his just beautiful cover drive. We're going with David Milan. I think he's there. He cements that top order. He's in that spot. I really want to go Alex Hales because of being a Notts guy, but I just don't know. I know he has a fantastic big bash, but I just think David Milan, his partner at Trent Rockets, would go in there. And wicket taking, this is where it gets difficult, but I just can't see past Shaheen Sharafridi. I just think he's currently the number one best bowler in the tournament now with no Bumrah there. I would go Mark Rudd if I don't believe that he's going to get injured 2 minutes into the tournament and then not be able to play the whole time. So yeah, Shaheen Sharafridi, I think, is come back from injury, will come through. That left arm option, I just can't see it going past him.
I think one point I want to address, right? Zach's the smartest person in this call. Wanindu Hasaranga has played 3 games. He's got 7 wickets. He's obviously ahead of everyone else. Just gonna say that, right?
Yeah, he's on a different plane here.
We're going from the first.
We're going Super 12 onwards.
But I'll take the qualifying wickets as well.
If you want.
Curtis Camphor.
Yeah.
Right. So there we go. That is the comprehensive guide to the World Cup. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also subscribe to Asjad. Like I said, his channel will be in the description. If you enjoyed it, let us know. Drop some Cricket Nerds questions down below. We haven't had a few for a while, so we love interacting. You can follow our social medias. We are at Cricket Nerds Pod. Other than that, we'll see you later, guys. Goodbye.